Okay, so this video did not turn out as I planned. This was supposed to be a really cool winter POV drive in my 1971 Volkswagen, but I've driven from there to here and promptly got stuck. So before we can do the cool POV winter drive, we have to get unstuck here. I think first things first, we should probably take this top down. All right. Now these Volkswagens back in the day were known for being very good in the snow because of their rear biased weight distribution, powering the rear wheels, of course, but we are pretty stuck. So let's go and try and reverse back down this hill. Man, I love the way that these air-cooled Volkswagen engines chirp along. It's called the Fweem, by the way, and it's due to the baffles in the exhaust tips. All right. Okay, try to take it nice and easy. Can actually hear the underside starting to belly out a little bit. Come on. Got to keep that momentum up. Oh man. This is just such a bummer. Okay, new approach here. Maybe I can... Alright, we may have to get our new social media gal to actually help us out here. Introduce her to the channel. Alright, so I think we're going to use our new JK Wrangler recovery rig to recover the little bug. So this is a 2016 Wrangler Rubicon full of AEV accessories, and we got these Mickey Thompson Baja Boss tires, a tire I don't have a lot of experience with, but hopefully it'll have the traction to get us up the hill. Got a couple of D-rings back there, got a strap in there we can use. So let's get in line to the Volkswagen here. Alright, here we go. And there's Alex. Let's go meet Alex. Alex, welcome to the channel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So this is Alex. She's our new
Hey.
head of social media here, and she's going to help me get the bug up to the top of the hill.
Okay.
Are you ready to give it a go?
Yeah, I am.
All right, so the first thing we need to do is get the strap out of the trunk. And then we're going to put the Jeep into four-wheel drive, and hopefully you can tow me up those tracks over there.
Sweet.
Have you ever recovered a Volkswagen with a Jeep?
No.
It's the first time, huh?
This is definitely a first timer for me. We'll see how it goes.
All right, Alex, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
All right, now just kind of go left and pull me up the hill. Perfect speed, yeah, just keep it like that. That's great. All right, that's good, and you can stop there. That's perfect. All right, nice work. Beautifully done. All right, so now that we are on hard-packed snow, we should be able to get down the driveway and head over for a really cool snowy POV drive. Get that 1600 fired up. There it goes, beautiful. And what I'm going to do, I think, is on the way out, I'm just going to let you experience and hear the sound of the Volkswagen, and then on the way back, we'll do some commentary on what it's like to drive in the snow. I think that's going to be a fun little plan here. So parking brake off, first gear. All right, here we go. Oh, come on. made it up to Carter Lake here in Colorado. Look at all the deer. That's quite a sight there. It's pretty cool. And we're gonna flip around and talk a little bit about the performance of the Volkswagen and how it does in these kind of adverse wintry climates here. Should turn my heater on, by the way. I don't know what I'm thinking. There we go. Heater's on. Now we are up here at 6,000 feet above sea level. It's currently 25 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so just under 0 degrees Celsius. And the engine seems to be running pretty well. The little Volkswagen seems pretty happy at these temperatures. I don't think I can turn around in there. I don't want to risk getting stuck. This is called Carter Lake. This is a beautiful part of Colorado. It's completely frozen, by the way. Look at that. A few tracks here and there. Now this Volkswagen is a lovely machine to drive. This is a 1971 Super Beetle cabriolet or a convertible. It's powered by a 1600 dual port engine. Horsepower, probably 60. Torque, right around 80. It's not a very high powered machine. Silence those notifications on my watch there. But even at these elevations, it still easily keeps up with modern day traffic, and it is still possible to hold 4 people and cruise at 70, 75, even up to 80 miles an hour. Now this engine probably hasn't been out of this car since about 1983, as I understand it from the previous owner, the last time this engine was out. So it's probably in need of a rebuild, but I did a valve adjustment recently, set the timing. It's got electronic ignition now, and it purrs along pretty darn nice. You know, when you consider that a lot of cars, especially American-made cars from the 60s, 70s, even to the 80s, had a lifespan between rebuilds of 50,000 miles, you know, 60,000 miles from the folks I've talked to. This car is sitting at 112,000 miles right now, and it's purring along like it's on rails, actually. It's doing really, really well. Okay, I think we got a pretty safe turnaround point here. See traffic in every direction, so we're gonna flip a U-turn here and start making our way back because it is a little chilly. Alright, there we go. Really good turning radius in the Volkswagen. We'll go full throttle here. Of course, no tachometer in the Volkswagen, but you do get these little clicks on the speedometer, which are indicators as to when you are supposed to shift. Put my visor down in the helmet. Nah, I'll keep it up. Kind of like the cold air. 4-speed manual transmission. Now, it is a fairly sloppy 4-speed. That's 4th gear, but it kind of feels like neutral. I think some of the bearings have worn out in there a little bit, but it's actually a really easy transmission, and the pedals, of course, are hinged from the floor, but they're super easy pedals to learn on. If you've never driven a manual transmission, the clutch take-up on a Bug is super simple. I mean, you consider they sold 21 million of these over several decades, and the vast majority of these were manual transmissions. It had to be a clutch that your typical user would be able to figure out with not a lot of difficulty, and indeed it is. It's a very simple clutch to learn, very simple clutch to kind of get accustomed to. Very progressive bite point, and then if you do need a new clutch to pull the engine, it's just 4 large bolts. Drop it, stick a new clutch in there, and be on your way. It's pretty cool to think about. These cars were designed to be incredibly simple and easy to service. In the 4th gear, 45 miles an hour. Car is really feeling pretty good. Now the brake situation, this car originally had 4-wheel drum brakes on there. I went ahead and put disc brakes in the front. It's a common conversion. They're still unassisted manual brakes, but they do the job considering the car weighs under 2,000 pounds. They slow the car down with pretty decent confidence. Even in the Colorado hills, as we start cresting some of these crests and, you know, make our way down the occasional mountain pass, I have a lot of confidence. Even in the original brakes, they held up pretty well. And with the manual transmission, you can downshift, try to rev match there a little bit, and you can slow down. really simply and easily. I love the steering wheel in this car too. Now this is a recreation of what the original one would have looked like. Probably would have been black, but I definitely like the white. Makes it stand out. And it's a thin steering wheel, but you get a lot of purchase on it. Horn there in the middle. Turn signal on. Make our way back down the mountain here. Steering is surprisingly precise. Now the Super Beetle, the primary difference between a Super Beetle and a standard Beetle, by the way, is the addition of an independent McPherson strut front suspension. So the standard Beetle would have had a torsion beam front end, and those are more desired by collectors. Actually, they're also much better to turn into Baja bugs if that's your kind of thing. They're much more durable. But the McPherson style suspension that you get on the Super Beetle really provides a nice ride when it's dialed in, and the reason they did that was to increase the storage capacity in the front of the vehicle. So you got to figure in the early 70s, Volkswagen was starting to feel a lot of pressure from Japanese rivals, especially here in the United States. And the Volkswagen was a very old platform, going on, what, 35 years old at that point by 1970, 71? Almost 30 years old, yeah. And the front-wheel drive offerings from Japan were starting to make a dent in their sales, so they wanted to improve the basic Type 1 architecture, and they did so by coming out with the Super Beetle. Now, you can tell a Super Beetle from a standard Beetle in a number of ways. There's a few vent differences here and there, but the primary difference visually is that the Super Beetle has kind of a flat nose in the front to accommodate more luggage space in the front, and it definitely looks like it was punched in the face a little bit. Now, here we are in some hard-packed snow and ice. We're going to try the handling out here. Now you really start to feel, ooh, you really start to feel that rear weight bias of having that 1600cc engine in the back when you start making turns. The front end has a surprising amount of grip, so modern cars, especially front-wheel drive cars, are tailored to understeer, because understeer is a easier situation to control for a novice driver than oversteer. This car, I would say, is on the other hand. I mean, you get a lot of front end grip, especially with those skinny tires that kind of bite into the snow, but then you got to be prepared for that rear end to swing around, and when it swings around fast and hard, and it acts as basically an essential pendulum. It's a lot of fun if you're ready for it. It can be pretty alarming if you're not. Let's go ahead and try the brakes here. So we'll accelerate up to 35. Ooh, my auto turn signal didn't cancel there. Alright, 35 miles an hour there. We'll hit the brakes. Okay, that just locked all four up. So let's do some threshold braking, or we'll pump the brakes. That's what you'd have to do back in the old days to kind of maintain steering ability as you slow down. And then on acceleration, easy to overpower the rear wheel. Let's try a second gear start here. Second gear, a little bit smoother, a little bit more progressive. Yeah, that's a nice little trick there. And as long as you can kind of match the wheel speed to the forward momentum of the vehicle, it is very possible to do surprising starts in the Volkswagen. Now, if the snow gets deep enough, you start bailing out that pan, you're basically done, right? Anything over 6 or 7 inches, you're not going to be going through, because the tummy of the vehicle is going to be in the snow. But especially in this hard pack stuff, I'm really impressed with the snow capability. And the steering, Volkswagen steering is surprisingly precise and easy to control. Now, downside of Volkswagens in the winter, they're notorious for having fairly poor heaters. Folks say that they have been able to, fare, well, let's think about it, millions of winters with little difficulty if the heater is working properly. But a lot of folks, especially as the heater channels, which are underside of the car and deliver the warm air from the exhaust into the cabin, those have a tendency to rust, and then you're just delivering warm air to the ground, which I guess is great for helping the snow removal folks, but not great for warming the windshield. And then a lot of folks even had to carry scrapers on the inside back in the day, because condensation would form on the windshield and freeze over. Now this car is missing its blower fan there, so the heater certainly isn't working up to stuff as it should be, but that certainly is a big concern on Volkswagens. Now, the reason that the original design was air-cooled is because back in Germany in the 1930s, right, most folks didn't have access to a garage to park their vehicles, and most folks didn't have cars. Let's be honest, this was a first car, or intended to be a first car for most Germans. So at the time, antifreeze wasn't nearly as common or nearly as available as it is today. So the idea was that going air-cooled, you wouldn't end up with a frozen cooling system. You wouldn't end up with like a seized water pump, right? Because folks didn't have heated garages. And that's one of the thoughts about going with that. Also simpler to manufacture. perhaps simpler to maintain as well, and I think the air-cooled engine has proven in the Volkswagen platform to be extremely versatile. They use this basic pancake engine in everything from the Carbon Ghia to the bus, to ultimately the original Porsche designs, right? All use a variant of the basic Volkswagen block, which is pretty cool. Now this is a full 1600 car, so in the States this I think is as big as they ever got. I don't think we ever stepped up to 18 or 1900 cc's. Other parts of the world, they continued building these Volkswagens into the very early 2000s in Mexico and in Central America. And those did change their design a little bit, right? But still basic flat 4 engine. They did see fuel injection come on in the 70s. Even in the States you get fuel injection, actually. But I much prefer the simple carburetor. Parts are still so easy to get. Now this car is a good driver, but I'm really bummed out about all that Bondo on the side of the vehicle. I kind of figured it was there, but it's reared its nasty head, and that's, well, I could kind of look away with it when it looked like one color, but now that orange is poking through, I'm probably going to have to address that, which is going to be a massively expensive ordeal. Or maybe I'll just leave it and drive the beans off of it this summer and figure out what we want to do next summer. Now, one thing that really boosted the popularity of the Volkswagen throughout the 70s was the fuel economy, right? You had the OPEC disaster, you had the tightening of fuel rations across much of the US, and fuel prices across of all of the US really shot up. So the result was a lot of Americans were looking toward more affordable vehicles. Now the domestics responded with models like the Pinto and the Vega, which, let's be honest, were not particularly well received or well loved by many. Volkswagen had been building cars since the 40s, so they were very well received. But the fuel economy on these bugs really isn't all that spectacular considering modern day standards. Figure 25 is realistic. You might be able to squeeze up to 30, but these air-cooled flat 4s, not super. Thank you, sir. Not super efficient by any means, especially compared to modern day standards. Oh boy, get this pretty significant hill to get back up to the ranch here. I'm gonna have to probably maintain some speed, maintain some momentum, go full rally style here. Oh great, that was a lot of fun. Oh wow, that was quick. Once again, that rear end just shot around, almost lost control of the vehicle. I was able to maintain it. We got one more hill here. I'm gonna keep those RPMs up, I think, in second gear. Yep, right in the power band, and we're gonna probably slow down a little bit so we don't go off the road. But the nice thing is we got a lot of front end grip here. Front end grips. Rear end comes around a little bit. Alright, so the last challenge is we gotta park this car back into its home in the barn. It's gonna be a tall order, I think. Yeah, maybe we can do it. We'll give it a try here. To reverse. Oh, this may have been bad. There we go. Come on, car. Let's get up the hill, buddy. Maybe if I could pull it in there for now, I'd be okay with that. Oh, so close. Alright, well, maybe we'll just leave it here for now and call that parked. Oh, we made some pretty good rests. We got both tires spinning. Yeah, we'll come back tomorrow, wait for it to thaw out, and then park it inside. Alright, well there you go. POV drive in a 71 Volkswagen convertible in the snow. Partial success, I think, but definitely a lot of fun to be had by everyone. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, it's been Tommy. We'll see you on another episode of TFL Classics.